All right, but anyway, parent live stream the meeting. It's crawling along its little line.
One A, smile.
Done, redirected. It's a one. How do we get it back loud? It's very loud. I have no idea what to do about volume. What about, didn't we have to do something to? Okay, it's looking at us doing. No, but no. Well, first of all, we're in YouTube stream. This is YouTube. Yeah.
So if you went down to that menu bar where there's a Zoom,
And you bought what?
the bottom of the screen.
Like one?
The blue, the multicolored one.
It's better if you do.
Huh?
Let me show you. This is the Zoom button there, so if you get that,
Right.
you can see that one here.
Right now, it's got, now it says Zoom. Now it says Zoom.
After you do the YouTube, you have to close it.
Dark. But see how you close it.
You hit the X.
All right, so being live streamed, is that good?
Yes. Yes.
So we get got it.
And you're recording up there at Paula.
Which do I do first?
It doesn't matter.
Give us a- Okay. Now I hit that. Do we tell her to pipe down the volume on the,
If you turn the volume down, if you have someone out there, they don't hear as
oh,
well.
okay. All right, how would we turn the volume?
You know, if anybody's there, you can turn it down on the computer, but
Leave it alone. Is your advice. Okay.
it's my advice to do it, unless you don't plan on having anyone there.
We have-
Generally, the
We
volume,
really don't know. Somebody
most of the speakers.
sometimes joins, but Sally's here in person. So may or may not have anyone. It's good harmless practice.
The volume's
Oh,
100%.
That's a bit probably. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry. There is nothing intuitive about that. Perhaps it's set up. Okay.
All right, okay, we'll call it in order. It's 10 past. Basically. Any adjustments in the order? Does anybody need any changes in the order in the agenda? All that, and no one having any the minutes of our last month's meetings? Does anybody have anything to say about the minutes?
Well done.
Well, thank you. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Well done.
I move we approve the minutes.
I have a motion to move, a second, anybody? I have a second, all those in favor? Aye. All right, now we go down to old business, report on the November 16th educational program on invasive versus native plants.
Right. So it happened. Hallelujah. So we had to have another replacement because the speaker got sick again. So Louisa Crane, her associate, gave the talk. And it was a foul, rainy, miserable night, and over 30 people came out for it and enjoyed it very much. And I got all kinds of compliments about how informative it was. We still may be able to put the YouTube on the town YouTube, but Penny's been too busy to do it, but it's on her.
So the meeting was recorded. and it-
What we said is we would record it to YouTube, but not for simultaneous
Right,
listening.
right.
And it may or may not work. Who knows what the quality is, but it may still, that might still happen. People would want to go back and watch it on YouTube.
Okay,
And Catherine managed to snag all of the information sheets on individual plants.
And I never turned them over to you, did I? Because, may I interject?
Sure.
So they were distributing information
Yeah.
sheets on the various plants and so forth. So at the end, I tried to get everything she had available. And I thought we would compile a folder and obviously, try to make it look good. And then have it stored at the library so that it will be available to the public. So once that's done, then we can put that in a little, monthly or whatever communication
right.
to the listserv and.
Do you know what organization printed those? The pamphlets or flyers?
No, I didn't check, but, Lincoln, I think they do their own work. It's Lincoln,
Knox
Knox and
Lincoln.
Lincoln County Soil and Water
Okay,
Conservation.
all right,
Yeah.
okay.
So I apologize, because I thought it's something that Linda, being good with graphics and everything, might be able to do.
Yeah.
Would you mind?
No,
I can provide a binder, I can provide a hole punch if you don't have one.
I have a whole plan.
Okay.
And you would just want to put it in order somehow, or?
Yeah, figure out what makes sense for organization, maybe do a table of content and, and then a nice cover and said that, graciously provided by the South Somerset Conservation Commission.
and Knox Lincoln Soil and Water Conservation District.
Yeah, and
Which
and
don't
explain
are
from the top,
appropriated.
and,
Whenever you're ready to give it.
Yeah. and I know where they are, and I said,
As far as, thank you notes and appreciation notes and stuff like that.
Well, thank you note was sent to Knox Lincoln to Rebecca and Lisa,
Okay,
and we profusely thanked Penny repeatedly.
good, good.
And that's all done.
Okay, thank you. Anything else on that? Because-
so overall, it was a success,
Oh.
that, now we have, the method and to be
It
repeated.
was nice to see, like she said, upwards of 30 people showing up, not nicest night of the year, so.
And they were definitely interested people,
Right.
asking questions.
Yeah. All right, so we're moving on to B is update on the community resilience partnership. Are we putting that off this evening? 'Cause
I didn't realize Theo wasn't gonna be here.
Okay,
I'm on that.
Oh,
would
you
you,
would.
want to say anything?
Sure.
Because I was away this weekend while the.
All right, so I didn't go to.
But I can, so do you want a sort of a general though? I've been sharing a little bit of Sandra, but how much have you seen of where we are or?
Well, I know a survey was done,
Mhm.
so, I read something about the results, but other people may not know about the results of that survey and what they're gonna do with that survey.
Meg Rasmussen has been assigned to us, right? She's helping us through that process. And the group kind of put out to like next sort of people some surveys here and there. And then we kind of got some information back on that. Part of it, I'll be honest with you, we're feeling our way around what we should be doing.
Right,
Right. So I think that piece has come together and we thought that coffee meetup would be a great opportunity just to kind of get outside of the group.
Yeah.
And just engage. So that's also a little bit of a precursor to a public meeting that should be, on the timelines for January, probably will be like about the first week of February.
Okay,
And it's about organizing and sharing with the town what the recommendations
so
are.
is that something you've discussed as a group, that you're gonna try to do something beginning of February?
Yeah, it's actually in the formal plan, which I
Okay.
can share with, the community,
Do
Okay,
we have a date yet?
with the commission, sorry.
Do we have a date or it's still?
Not a specific date, I think
Okay.
in February, we had somewhere
Is there
around,
another survey session on the January 10th, or that date has been scrapped?
I don't know if that's been scrapped or not. I wasn't at the last meeting, on the one before, planning this one. So, Leslie?
I wasn't.
Oh, sorry, you had something.
No, just listening attentively.
so
Just listening attentively.
as it stands, it's sort of beginning to winnow down to those things the community itself would be most likely to get involved with. And the next step is to try to inform more people in the community what's going on.
Yeah, and it's a distilling process based upon how you have to respond to the grant.
Right.
So there's all those categories. It's like, okay, what are we hearing and how does that fit?
Yeah.
And what do we think the priorities are? And then they sort of present that and get really good feedback.
Excellent.
So part of it now is about filling out the enrollment, formal enrollment in it.
Right,
Getting the select board, there's a template for the select board to say, okay,
right.
we are doing this, we sign off on it. And then to kind of come out to the public. with
Okay.
that.
All right,
All right?
yeah, thank you.
Sure. And I'll share the timeline.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Update on land conservation, November 14th meeting with Annette Nagel.
All right, so I forwarded my report via email a bit late, yesterday, I guess. But essentially, I'm going to read the beginning. They are extract from, legal document that you read at your leisure. And you get no problem on that. On November 14th, so Sally, Sandra, and myself met with Annette, and Director of Conservation. And I swear on one of her emails, she signed as Director of Lands.
I just went on, was the land site and the title is Director of Conservation.
Yeah, on the
That's what-
website, but that would be odd that she would sign her email with. Maybe, with the change in the reorganization, maybe we'll check on it. And so I had requested the meeting because I felt fairly ignorant about processes and I made a little progress and still felt ignorant. In bringing, so, and here Sandra is gonna correct me, but bringing lands into conservation, what does that mean? What are options and so forth? And what are, what can be done depending on who the owner is, if it's the municipality versus a private owner and so forth. So she was extremely obviously helpful. At my disposal, I had the set of maps that we looked at.
Yeah.
And I said, my focus would be definitely the big municipal 100-acre parcel. I would hate to be developed or sold or whatever. And, for my personal interest, and I fully understand this is the matter that could be subject to votes and so forth, but this is where I'm headed, and we looked at the map, and that parcel falls under, winter habitat for deer and so forth. So there are plenty of good reasons why it should be protected.
Yeah.
And going over all these things, she said, in any case, she said, before going into that, I think she felt it was very important that we complete one of our mandates, which is to do an inventory of all the open spaces in the town. And the open spaces are organized in 4 categories: the state and federal ownership, the town ownership, the land trust and other conservation nonprofit ownership, and finally the private land classified under open space. And so each category is more or less, some of them are very easy to ascertain because we know what the state owns and the federal and the conservation group, same thing. And Annette was very helpful. She provided a list of what the George River Land Trust, already manages within our town. And I checked briefly the, what is it, the Coastal Mountain Land Trust thing. And they also have, some pieces that they protect in the municipalities. So these will be easy to list. And what becomes more involved is the private lands that are classified under open space. And Sally herself is an owner who has some of her land, under open space classification.
Yeah, with, open space slash, tree growth.
Right.
And so I explained, yeah,
Yeah, land that's in a program that.
yeah.
Non-development.
Non-development.
So listing properties, I'm gonna read here what I wrote. Listing properties under each category will require, various degree of efforts and cooperation. In particular, the last category can only be identified from filings at the town office of the form application for open space land classification with, the statutes, numbers and so forth. And that's submitted by landowners and reviewed and signed on by the town assessor. So I went to the website and we don't have a resident town assessor. So pretty much from what I understand on the town website, the way it works is those forms are submitted and it's a select board as an entity that serves as town assessor at this point. And but such filings have to reside in the building somewhere. So are they read and entered into a database? I don't know that, and somebody is going to have to contact. So I'm thinking, somebody was easy contact.
I'll
It's the
be
selectmen.
happy to do
Well,
that.
Yeah, I mean.
But like, understand, how that works. If somebody comes in, they submit to the select board, then they approve, and then what's done is the form, whether it's computerized somewhere, who can access that list, it should be public.
Yeah, it
You
should
know.
be listed in tax records too.
No, it's not in the assessment book. We can go, there is an online system for, we can go and check, by streets or whatever, but it's not gonna be listed there.
Okay.
And,
So explain to me what you were asking again.
it's how can we find out, which property have applied for open space
Oh.
land classification and which one have been approved?
If I could interject.
Yes.
Part of it is just from my experience from Thomaston. And I think the umbrella over this goes up to the state. So I'm not positive about that, but basically people do this for tax breaks.
Yes.
And so there will be a record kept there, and we can find out, and as the Conservation Commission, we should be entitled to see those records. Although my experience with Thomaston is you are not necessarily, public is not necessarily entitled to see the records. I'm not clear about why. There's a lot I need to learn about it.
Okay.
But some of it is viewed as, private tax information of individuals
Mhm.
that is not just, broadcast.
Well, it's available publicly on the website. You can go to any address in town and see what the assessment is and what the tax bill
All right,
is.
so.
No, but whether they're in a special category, the open space is a category that
Yeah,
gets a tax
well,
rate.
this is what I was saying. This is not, that's why we need to find out
But
where it's
there are
recorded.
answers to these questions, and I'm happy to. look
Yes,
into
but
it.
I say we have a first easy access to Leslie if she wants to talk to John.
Right.
Yeah, not that. But
So-
as I'm not finished, like as Sally mentioned, same thing, the open space is itself subcategorized into tree growth, farmland and public use. So obviously what we're aiming for, we'd like to know all of them, obviously. And the public use becomes accessible, obviously, under reasonable conditions to the public. And somebody I was talking to said, what they really love is a nice way of walking, along the water somewhere. So if we can figure out if there are enough open spaces that can be connected and then try to open the trail sustainably, along those pieces. That's for down the road as well, but,
That was a question, just on pure curiosity. What is it defined as open space? How big a land does it have to be?
no, open space, okay, so I'm going to
Half an
read,
acre.
all right. Public open space for the current use program. Okay, and again, there is a legal statute, category there. It means an area over open space land, whether ordinary, permanently protected, or forever wild, that is eligible for an additional cumulative percentage reduction in valuation because the applicant allows public access by reasonable means, and the applicant agrees to refrain from taking action to discourage or prohibit daytime, non-motorized, and non-destructive public use. So there's a double negative in there. And, it's legalese, that's what I'm saying, and you need to read it twice. The applicant may, but is not obligated to, permit hunting, snowmobiling, overnight use, or other more intensive outdoor recreational use. So we want to protect the environment. The applicant may impose temporary or localized public access restrictions to protect active habitat of endangered species, prevent destruction or harm to fragile protected natural resources, or protect recreational users from any hazardous area. So,
Nothing
again,
about size.
what's that?
Nothing
No,
about
there is
not-
nothing to it.
Well, but I think that's part of the conditions to approve of it, it has to be of significance. No, nobody can do that, that's an acre, there is nothing interested in it, just, tax avoidance fuel is not.
So overall, we can take up and add to the continuing thing under old business is how we're progressing with identifying. open
Well, I
lands that
think-
are currently have an open space aspect to it.
So
I
I
think-
propose we should
Yes.
form a committee, a
Yes.
subcommittee to work on this part of the project. It's a mandate that we have, so I started this, I'm interested in continuing on this. Sandra, you expressed interest.
I might have too much on my plate, but I'll do what I can.
I'm only because I'm gonna be gone for the next 3 months.
So you're agreeing to do it?
Well,
You know,
I would still,
I've been,
Okay, so at least, so
but I mean, I would try to zoom in this year. I think,
it's gonna be a good way for me to actually feel like really catching up on the work.
Right.
yeah, so we'll have a meeting.
Right.
All right, so I'll just make sure you two know how to get in touch with each other.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we'll put this on it'll just be a continuing thing on the agenda update on how this particular aspect.
Yes.
Okay, cool, thank you for the time, for all of you. Yeah.
Well, and feel free to ask for more help if you're not, if you're. Yeah,
I know I could do, Georgia.
I just, if you can find, like,
I will-
in the
I will
next
do
few
that.
days,
I will.
John, how this is recorded, that could be a huge piece of information for me.
How and where.
How is it
Yeah.
recorded? Where is it stored? How can it be accessed by who?
Yeah, where is it?
Where is it and who can access it?
Okay, so I'm moving to update on resources and procedures for South Thompson Conservation Commission notices to the public.
So basically, that is the document that I hope you all got,
Yeah, which was very.
despite my rogue email system. Did you all get it?
Yes.
Okay, so that's done. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a work in progress. Further down the agenda, I will explain that we're working with with St. George right now on another law.
Okay,
And part of their task is going to be to expand the list, so, like, where do you put up posters in Fort Clyde,
Right.
that kind of thing. And there may be corrections needed, because I think I haven't correctly or fully understood exactly how much updating Knox Village Suit, Courier Gazette, those folks do between the publication dates of the print papers.
Correct.
I mean, there's basically what I was told, but it can't be the whole story, is that all we have now, because we have it kind of pulling our horns, is we put up a facsimile of the print edition online. And that's mostly it. And that may be all there is for notices of events.
Right.
But they sure managed to get up the next morning that Chief Calderwood had resigned. So it isn't as simple as there's no news from 1 week to the next.
Right.
So I need to look into that further, but so that our document will be, regularly updated as we
Cool.
get more, as we work with other conservation commissions, we may do more of asking them to see that our notices get on their town websites and email lists and so on.
What was your reference to the, chief resigning? When did you say
You don't know that was she.
No, I understand that, I know that.
It's, it happened one night. and the
It
next
happened
morning-
last night,
The
and
next
it was-
morning it's posted.
It was in the paper. And
Well,
part
because
of that,
it's news as opposed to what they're doing, which is brief and,
that may be it, that they don't bother updating notices or
Right,
counselors and things.
yeah, well, that's it.
Yeah, I was curious, as a detour, who was standing where to get that picture of Chief Calderwood? It was like they must have been standing about where I am.
Stephen Best is not here.
I don't know how you pulled that off.
All right, well, I'm gonna, stop speculation on that. Let's see, mission, discussion concerning mission statement response to the November 15th select board comment.
Right. So this was a learning experience. We had finally sent to the select board a draft mission statement that was basically modeled on, the town of Gardner's statement. And at the select board meeting, John raised some concerns. I mean, again, did you all get the okay. This is funny. I now have an email address that I think will not mess me up, but anyway. So they raised some concerns about suggesting that this was narrowing our role, which we said we certainly didn't mean. And there was some concern about the sentence structure, one state, one sentence. Well, I don't mind taking.
Vicky's gonna be very important.
I think he wanted to be sure that I didn't.
And we reached the pursuit of such goal would have done the trick,
Well, whatever,
So the result was.
but in the next few days, John sent a follow-up message attaching the ripped off top of one page of the document, which said it was a draft conservation, South Thomaston Conservation Commission draft mission statement that I had never seen, and that after various searching turned out to be something that the ad hoc group that preceded us, that advocated for recreating
Right,
the Conservation Commission, had worked out a very thoughtful and much more thorough than the Gardner statement, mission statement. So I had a stab at putting some of that in a redraft, but I'm not comfortable with it. I do not see getting a mission statement done and on the website as a priority activity in any case. We do what we do, and down the road a bit, we'll be clearer on our whole mission. But for example, we really, I think, overemphasized land preservation. That's one thing we do or should do, but we're also the importance of advising the select board and residents and getting information and education about environmental conservation matters, and this is a huge developing area. I would like to see a mission statement that was more comprehensive, and I don't think that we're in any hurry. We could just say we're going to put it on the back burner for a while as we work on stuff like the inventory, which is going to be a really big lift, educational programs, whatever else we're working on.
So the last draft you had, you said after you, what's the one that the ad hoc committee did, we started trying to work that together. Is that something you're sort of even at this point unwilling to put out for us?
I'm not thrilled with it.
Okay.
And the only feedback I got was from Leo, who said, yes, this sounds, like more complete, but I think it's only closer to complete.
Mhm.
So did everybody have a
I'd
copy
rather
of it?
just leave it aside. for a
My
while.
comment is we're back to, I mean, there are 3 pages of statutes of things we are mandated to do. And
No, only a couple we are mandated to do.
And then, the idea of the mission statement was to put something again, to invite people to learn more about what we do. The minute you start adding this and adding that, it becomes a long paragraph. And, to me, this is the trade-off. Are you gonna make it too long and too cumbersome for people to read versus something, you can add that there is more to the responsibility, but
I agree with you.
you
I
know,
think it should be kind of a concise,
So where do we stand on the next suggestion of, so people can look at?
where is that, where is that one that John sent you? Where, do we have?
Well, I sent to all of you John's message with its attachment, and when I had tracked it down and finally got a copy from Linda, the document that he ripped that out of so that you have the whole document.
All right, to everybody know whether they have that or
Well,
we
you
do.
should have it because I sent it to
not. All
all
right,
of
because
you.
one of the
Right, very
suggested,
thorough.
suggested is that we close the discussion for tonight on this particular issue, but look over what's on, what, has been sent out and, come back with a thought on it next month.
I mean, I agree with you, I don't think it's, it's like, that we should get it
Yeah.
immediately, but I don't think it.
Yeah, I'll take the time to get it right.
Yeah.
Well, and please look thoughtfully and carefully at what the predecessor ad hoc committee clearly put a lot of work into doing.
Yeah.
Which is a lot, we can find a way to condense it, but there's a lot more in there than in the statement we started with.
Okay,
We were, Linda and I, and
And
You were
Sally
a
and
member of the
Leo
ad hoc
were in that
committee.
group.
I was trying to remember whether you were at some of those meetings on Andrew's. board.
yes, I was. And,
I,
and the whole point, this was created by reading the main legal documents regarding conservation. And, if you go back to that mission statement and what's included in the South Thomaston official document about recreating, they are similar paragraphs. So they all come from the same source, which was the main, legal documents regarding conservation and what they ought to do and not to do. So,
Okay.
we are,
so, next month, if people just sort of have a list of what they might want to edit out or changes on that, so we can start going through,
Or maybe there needs to be a working group on that.
Can I just start
please
with
do, yeah.
So I spent most of my career as a facilitator doing, vision and stuff, right? So, I think there's a moment when you don't know what you want, right? And you like bring stuff along, and then there's a moment when you have to kind of like say what it is that we want, what are we doing, right? And the mission to me always fits in like vision and mission, like the church had a vision,
Right,
right, and the mission, right? So the piece around the mission is if they are not clear, and they are not very clear about what it is they're driving towards, then it links into, well, how do we fit ourselves in between the lines?
Right.
What comes in, what would come out. And the process of doing that together is generally more valuable than kind of the piece of the editing piece. Because I don't know what you mean by your text or your context. So it may not be feasible, all right, in terms of time we have, but I just want to throw that in. Is
Right.
that-
well, kind of what I'm saying is that we all need to start trying to trim from the same document. So if
Yeah.
everybody has a copy of what was sent out, look it over and start thinking about what you want to change and then, why you think it's right or wrong. And then we can put together 3 or 4 people to start crafting it. But everybody needs to be talking about the same document
Right,
when we first start with this. And so that's been sent out. Everybody says they have it. So look it over by next month's meeting. It'll be on the agenda. In
Including you?
response to,
You're talking about the one that the ad hoc committee.
Right, yes,
Yeah.
that's on, yeah. All right.
Have you seen it, Andrew?
As I said, I know I have it, but I haven't had a chance to, it's just been, stuff came up, I had a, what they call, life intrusion, yeah.
And
Town's webpage, report updates to town's website.
You should have received that also.
Yep.
And I looked online this afternoon is, well, it's virtually all done, but I don't know what can be done about this, but I had said, well, we wish that the list of boards and committees could be in alphabetical order rather than everybody, whatever's new gets added at the bottom. And so if you look at what's there now, so we're at the top, but everything else is all sort of in strange. scale. Yeah,
It looked alphabetized to me.
no, I got it.
All right, so overall, are you happy where we have it at this point?
I don't have an answer to that.
Okay,
What we have, what I printed at like 4:30 tonight, which is which. We have boards, committees, and appointees, Conservation Commission, Planning Board, Board of Appeal, Ordinance Review Committee, Budget Committee, Airport Advisory Committee, Cooperative Water Board, Georges River, a couple of things, Cemetery, Election Clerks. That's the order.
that's the same alphabet.
That's
It is-
under which tab?
That's at the boards, that's the directory tab, the list of boards and committees. I said we didn't like being at the bottom, so he stuck us at the top, but everything else is still random.
Yeah, there's certain things where, as long as can be found.
Well, I think it would be nice if when I went on in search of whatever, I could find it in some logical way.
Right. There again, we run into the same thing we discussed in the past, is there are certain aspects of this that are important to conservation, and there are aspects that are important to the presentation the town puts forward, is not our bailiwick.
I feel like we still say, so it's possible, see, Linda was saying from her experience of dealing with websites that it could be very difficult to change the order of chunks of things.
Right.
It seems like
Okay.
it might just be cut and paste, but it's not.
No,
I have your website right here, and I'm sorry, but Appeals Board, Budget Committee.
No, go to directory. No, that list is, I'm talking about in the directory link.
Which link?
And you get glasses.
Like, I mean, this looks pretty fine here.
Well, unless you change it at the end, after. I
Town
have it.
Department is also alphabetized.
Oh, no, I'm in trouble, I don't have glasses.
Oh.
These glasses here.
Sandra,
These glasses right there.
I'll try, thanks. Oh, no, usually. All right. Now I'm ready. Now go down below town hall. Keep going. Below fire department. F. Boards, committees, and appointees. 1, Conservation Commission. Keep going down.
Okay, so that's the only thing.
Planning Board, Board of Appeals.
Okay, that's the only area. Everything else, I mean,
Yeah.
to me, that's like 100% progress already.
80%.
they,
It's not, I mean, maybe she can't, maybe she does. I
Yeah.
guess.
so,
You know, we're the squeaky wheel, we complain about being stuck at the bottom, so they stuck us at the top. Everybody else is still random.
Anything else on this particular issue
No,
this evening?
well, and, but also just to say that the bigger task of trying to improve the whole website is bigger than us.
Right,
And it's going to be a long process, and I am going to gently try, just as a citizen, not speaking for the Conservation Commission, to reach out, like to Sue Snow, because at that meeting, she was saying that at her school, they had added it, you know, replaced the website, and it was actually worse than before. So, you know, anyway,
all right,
there's a lot of work to do. I'm just saying, this is going to disappear from the agenda,
okay,
Yes,
for the time being.
until we have documents that are worthy of posting.
right,
Like right now, everything we can relate to the public is on there. So
Right.
once
Good.
we have the mission statement, we'll figure out where we want it to go. And then we'll start the conversation. I think that can be included in our page without any problem to me.
Right.
Once we start accumulating, you know, what I call the file folders, you know, of
well, once we really start needing
resources,
to use
you
it, right,
know, and stuff, so that it can be found under our tab easily and not, right now we have a blog.
okay,
And, but we are not there yet, so let's not rock that boat.
all right. Update, on pyramid signs for cleanup days, I have checked on this, generally speaking, it's about $15 a piece, you start getting price breaks when you buy over 20. I found out that the way this works, when you have a small local printing shop that does that, orders under 20, they tend to do themselves, but orders over 20, they send out to a company that doesn't do anything for less than 50.
We're not
Because
paying-
they can print it for, the local place can print it, so roughly $15 a piece for a one-color, two-sided sign with a bracket that stickers are closed. When I went on the maps, I was originally thinking about having them, put under, laminated. There's a real size problem with that, and then I thought, well, I can get it dry mounted on foam core, and the woman said, you don't want to use foam core because it's just gonna curl over time, so they have, it's like masonite, is what they can put it on. I think there were 6 maps in the collection. It was going to be, I'm gonna shoot a little high on the estimate, someplace between 18 and 20, but $20 a piece to have each map dry mounted on a hard board. Just the section that's the town cut out, it ends up being about a 20-inch square.
Political sign size that you have?
That's just a 20-inch square.
Okay.
And then on the back side of each one, I can take the legend that exists on the side of the map that tells you what the pink cross hatch means, and put that on the back, and have that dry mounted on the back of each of those. So then we'll end up with 6 small maps that can be passed around and everybody can stand on it. You don't have to unroll
But
them.
will be like plasticized, what you're
It's
talking
it's
about?
dry mounted, it's not plasticized.
So
but-
it's gonna get damaged.
In a sense, I can talk to her about putting plastic over the top of it. You could have frame,
I was
but.
mixing up with the safety sign.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, this is the,
Yeah.
for the maps, and so that's gonna be maybe $120 if you look at 6 of them at $6 a piece. It's a good way to preserve them, it's a good way, like we're sitting around tonight talking about land issue, and you can just pull out that map and say, well, is the wildlife habitat, or what's
Yeah.
the tree growth,
Okay.
because each of the maps, works with a different environmental aspect. So that's the update on that, I don't know whether or not I'd like to go ahead, the way I look at the maps is, I'd like to go ahead and order it if, I can pay for that, I can submit the bill to the town, if the town doesn't want to cover it, I'm not particularly worried, I think it'll be a very handy thing for the conservation commission to have.
We've got a budget.
Right, yes. So I'm
We should
looking,
be able to say, here's what it costs, and we need to check.
right, yeah, I don't know how much we have in our budget right now.
We have almost spent. Well, I just spent 100 renewing our membership in Maine Conservation. I'm not sure if they charge us the $50 a year for the dedicated email address, but I'm gonna assume they do,
Right,
just to have it in the budget. I don't know anything else we've spent.
right,
What do we have? Well, we had 500.
yeah. All right,
What of those cans?
I don't know if this needs to, I don't know if this needs to go to a motion or not, because we're anticipating spending money, but, if I can get this job done for $20 or less per map, or 6 maps, is everybody happy with it?
Yeah,
Go
very
ahead and
happy.
say, let's get this
I'm
going.
happy now, donate.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you want a motion?
I'm trying to think right now, I'm thinking,
Well, if
because
we're approving spending money.
money, I think we should, yeah,
Right,
so will you make the motion?
I move that we, I'm gonna cough, I'm sorry. I move that we approve the expenditure of, well,
Up to $20 a map.
$20, well, plus tax levy,
Right.
$20 and change for, laminating the maps.
Okay, or dry mounting.
Dry mounting.
So I have a motion to, I have a motion to spend the $20 per map for 6 maps to have you dry mounted. And I have a second.
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right. This shouldn't be easy to spend money, tax money.
Well, it's not very big money. This is not FTX.
So that's signs for cleanup days and that. I'm sorry, I did both of those DNA. So upcoming January 31st talk on Brown Tail Mock and Hemlock Wood. And it's Harbor.
You all have to be able to pronounce the Delta part.
At Delta, thank you very much.
Anyway,
At
yes.
Delta.
Plans are going forward. We have a firm date. It'll be in the evening. I don't have a time, but whatever. We're working with John Noor in the St. George Conservation Commission. We've been trading messages on, text for an announcement and, materials for a flyer. Linda and I have been finding really gruesome photographs of brown tail moth caterpillars and woolly adelgid infestation. So,
Hunter, what is the date? You're trying to find?
January 31st.
So this is,
It's a Tuesday.
as a commission, this is one of the first times that we've really done something in conjunction with
It
neighboring
is,
town, right? And it's going well,
yeah, well,
so
it's
far.
fairly painless.
Good. Anything else on that particular? Okay. Oh.
And the speaker will be Rebecca.
Anybody
She
bring any-
manages to stay healthy.
say that? I'm sorry.
Rebecca Jacobs of Knox Lincoln Soil Water Conservation District, who we tried manfully to give the talk on invasive plants.
Right.
But hopefully she'll stay healthy.
Good.
Which would get the St. George,
This will be at the St. George Town Hall in Cannon Park.
So will we be helping to publicize that?
yeah,
Yeah, to the extent of probably putting up flyers, and I would leave it to them to get word out to the papers and so on.
Right.
Getting it on, getting the notice to Terry and for the website and our email list.
Yeah.
And somebody, either we or St. George will also ask Alsted to help publicize it. They were asked if they'd like to co-sponsor, but I don't know if they said no or just never got back.
Right.
But anyway, it's just us two.
Cool. So this kind of ties in when we get into new business, because the last thing on the
Right.
old business is aluminum cans, which is opportunities for collaboration. And I'm assuming that nobody brought in any, I haven't seen it.
And why is that only aluminum can?
I think it's just, where Theo does it all, and I think it's just the ease of it. But I bought a few glass ones, and it's just easier for her to collect, and she does all the collecting in it, but I put a few glass things in there.
So as far as opportunities for collaboration, I mean, this is when you can put in together the list of how you can advertise and stuff like that, you're passing that on to them.
Yeah, this is not about advertising.
I
I can
mean-
move to new business. Is that where we are?
Yeah,
No, what we tossed around for a couple of sentences last time was, for example, getting all the conservation commissions in Knox County together, maybe a couple of times a year, start having a routine where we get together, get to know each other, have some kind of a program of maybe.
What we had this summer, you know, that.
Well, that was just,
Or-
that was a
or-
picnic and somebody gave a talk.
Yeah.
it could be anything, it could be something like that, more. There was also something that Georges River Land Trust sponsored, before the Conservation Commission was created, which the South Thomaston folks were invited to because they were in the process of trying to get reestablished. But there were speakers on a bunch of topics, I think over like two days on the weekend or something. I wasn't there, but I've heard about it. So that's more what I was thinking about, that we could kind of choose topics we'd all like to learn more about and get speakers or share information on things that each of us has done that we found
That
productive.
Very valuable.
Yeah.
Even without the speakers, that would take up an hour or two. I would
Oh,
think.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
that should be part of it.
Yeah.
Sure. So that's what we were, that kind of thing is what we were thinking about.
Like a
In
little
addition
talk
with,
walk.
yes,
Yeah.
in addition with, co-sponsoring events. And wherever it leads us.
Right.
Hopefully the more we do, the more it will occur to us to do.
I mean, we're so close, in terms of distance, the towns and so forth, but, somebody trying to really push hard to develop a trail somewhere, I would figure
Oh,
the other towns
great
are
idea.
interested in, because it becomes, resource for the other towns as well.
Yeah. All right, this particular topic will probably move up into continue our old business. So maybe at the next meeting, if everybody can sort of thinks about it for a minute and comes up with sort of one idea they might have for countywide, or I tend to look at it as the peninsula as opposed to the whole county, but just ideas that we might have, or ways that we could foster what you're talking about.
It'd be nice to do it at least with once a year, every summer. Just the fact to organize it where it could be and what that in itself, and then speakers would be enough just to get.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah, well, and one side of my
And dates and.
deep municipal experience will lead me to say that if we're inviting all these conservation commissions to show up with quorums, it needs to be open to the public too.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be posted, is
Oh,
kind of what I'm saying,
I think they want
Yeah,
that.
officially posted.
Yeah.
All right, anything
Well,
else?
I was thinking, perhaps, because, Ken Olberger from St. George Conservation Commission came to the talk on invasives, and he said he'd like to see us collaborate more.
Good.
And I'm just thinking, maybe there could be another working group which included members of each of our conservation commissions that we start. Then there could be communication forward and back,
Right.
We could be the, whatever the group of delegates was that was
Almost just.
getting together, they would be talking about how they do this, and then they could report back to their own commissions and get their thoughts and so on. So we start having an ongoing conversation.
Right. Yeah, because the environment just doesn't recognize political borders. Anything else?
Well, it's just that there, as a sign, there are opportunities with the community resilience that you can submit a grant to collaborate with another town.
Right.
Which Meg advised not to do that in the first round through, but the aim is for it to come back and go on the journey of doing this community.
Right,
resilience.
okay.
So that could be that too.
Right, yeah. First, get your ducks in a row and
Yeah,
then we'll come up with somebody else's
yeah.
ducks, right, yeah.
I don't know, the ducks would like.
The geese would.
Yeah, these would work on that.
Yeah, they like straight.
You can drive ducks.
Opportunity. So, I mean, as it stands now, at this, opportunities for collaboration will move up into old business. And so if you come up with an idea or something like that, for the next meeting, we can just put it on the table. But it sounds like now we're just trying to figure out what it is that we want to, the idea that we want to offer to other groups, whether it's a land group or a conservation.
Mostly, step one is just reaching out.
Yeah.
Who's interested? Like Ken reached out to me, let's see who else had might be interested.
Yeah. Okay.
So on.
Renewal membership in the Maine Associated Conservation Commission, you just.
I mentioned that,
Yeah.
I'd heard nothing, Theo did it last year. And it just sort of silence ensued. So I reached out to the president, I think he's the president, whatever his executive
Right.
director, whatever his title is, the head of the organization. Turns out, basically, it's just being run out of his home.
Right.
It's a very informal sort of thing, but they do have get together. They had some meeting that we never got information about, I think because they didn't know where to send it. So now I have given him the Conservation Commission dedicated email address, and that should not be a problem.
Right.
I'm sorry, who are you talking about?
The Maine Association of Conservation Commission, which Theo signed us up for last year. And it occurred to me that must be time to renew. So I reached out to him and he said, well, actually, it's time to renew in August. So next year we will know. But they were still considering us members, although they said they had just had some event that we knew nothing about. So we need to get into that loop too.
All right.
But it should be easy to give them actually the South, the Conservation Commission of South Thomaston, the main address, then they would add us.
I
to-
did,
Okay.
that's what I did.
Because
There's
when
a-
I got
there's a-
this, email about the grant thing that I forwarded to everybody, I should check your mailbox, but, it's because I added the same thing, my name to, when I was doing my research on the forest, management and so forth, so I wanted to be informed about the events related to that topic. So, as we do things, if we become interested in various domains, we should, instead of receiving 20 emails, each one can receive, some emails and then share.
Well,
All
I
right.
wanted to be sure we didn't get lost again,
Right.
so that he's got our official contact.
All right, so the last thing on the new business is budget for 23-24 fiscal year.
Right,
well, I
and I
think-
have some update on that.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for the select board to say what their timetable is, and they did last night, roughly. And, we are, of course, a tiny flea on the dog here, so, basically, if we're gonna need to get our budget request to Terry by like mid-February. And then the budget committee will be meeting the second week in April, which is the same week that we will meet. And in fact, I can tell you right now that I will not be at our April meeting because I will be at the budget committee meeting.
Okay.
As for what we put in it, I think we pretty well established that we don't need $500 a year. We cannot justify a
Justify it.
request like that.
Yeah.
And the only things I know are the 100 for the Maine Association, the 50 if they really do want to take our email address charge.
Out of our budget, right?
It's somewhere to put it, you can
Yeah.
take it. and do it.
Are you
And then-
100% certain that it's $50 per email address?
I don't know where I got that. number.
I know, because I think I heard at some point it was $5. So,
Well, we can figure that, one of
Well,
the
I
things,
can ask her, well, how much does it cost for an email address?
I was thinking that one of the things you and I could do, because we usually get together to look over the agenda, to set the agenda
Mhm.
before the meeting, is that we could look over last year's budget and just make some notes and then bring that to the next meeting for the whole,
Well-
go over, but it gives us a starting point.
Well,
Yeah,
last year,
Truth a little amount. I mean, there's things that, you may not think of
well,
now.
what's going to happen, because we asked for we asked for even more, and we got
Yeah.
500. And we spent maybe 200,
Right.
I'm not even sure. The rest is going to go right back
Yeah.
to reserves.
well,
And
I would
it's,
like
once
to
you've had
propose,
that situation for a year, it's really on us to explain why in the world we would need, whatever the number is we pick.
Right.
I believe in leading by example, the little things, that may not seem like much of them, they snowball. And I would like, so I don't know if it should come out of our budget or what, but eventually purchasing a big rain barrel to put, on the side to water the flower bed, in front of the town building. So that we demonstrate the use of a water barrel and, save good water.
They have good daughters.
What, I think they have daughters, don't they?
Well, as I said, what I was hoping to do is just, Sandra and I will get together, we'll look at last year's budget, we'll make a couple thoughts on it, and then we'll present it to the whole board. Not as a fait accompli, but just as a point to start talking.
And they can always say
If you
no.
want to add stuff, take it
Oh,
away.
yeah, I know what to say.
It's just- Are you happy with that
That's a start.
when we do the?
So if we do that.
So that means that
Really
we
have
can,
to decide. Well, either decide in January or
Right.
delegate a decision to somebody because we will not have another
exactly,
meeting before.
yeah, no, that's what I was thinking, is just that we, then we can
Well,
sit down
actually,
with
we
the board.
probably could finalize it at the February meeting. So we probably have January and February to wrap it.
Right,
Because we're just gonna hand in our minuscule little request. I mean, we
Yeah.
failed beside the fire department. So if it's in,
well, we could have it.
if it's in February, that'll be fine because they're not gonna meet with us until April.
Yeah, okay. All right,
A quick reminder that I will not be here for the next 3 meetings, so I will zoom in.
3 meetings,
I'm away for,
gallivanting around.
no, just go and golf and bike and.
Oh,
We go to Georgia.
That's terrible, that's just awful. Anything from anybody else?
At this point, I'm anticipating being away in April.
April?
Mm.
Okay, so
All of
as long as we get a,
Most of it.
I will definitely.
all right. Thank you all. I will officially call the meeting closed at. Do I hear a, do I have a second? I have a motion, I have a second. A second, I have all kinds of seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It is 10 minutes past 6.
So Neil, when can we get together?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wednesday or Tuesday. So,
But then if we
well, my weekend, all right.
Okay, thank you.
No, 2012, we will go at the beginning of January.